gentlemen, everybody, wherever you are, however you may be listening, this is your Wednesday wrap-up. And, of course, we got our man Herb here. How's it going, man?
I'm doing wonderfully. What does Raj say? Spectacularly, wonderful, wonderfully splendid?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man.
Doing all right.
I'm doing all right. I had to go to coffee this morning, so, you know.
Of course. It's the early show. So gotta do the coffee. At least it's early on the West Coast, I guess.
Yes, it's way early. For us, it's just merely early. For you, it's why are you up early?
I mean, to be fair, I woke up 2 hours ago anyway. But what just happened? Man, computer is freaking out today.
It doesn't want to be up either.
I mean,
I would not recommend coffee for it though. I don't know if that's what you were planning.
I mean, I don't know. Like maybe it could use some coffee because then I would get a new one.
I mean, if that's how that works, then yes, I support that. Looks like I told Raj the correct time this morning. I won't get blamed for that.
I mean, you'll still get blamed for that.
Yeah. We had a suspicious moment on our show last night. Thanks. And I have to get to the bottom of it, but Raj asked me a question that would get me in trouble. The question was what are 3 things that my wife does when I'm watching TV that annoys me? And suspiciously enough, my wife logged in to watch the show right when the question was happening.
Yeah, no, I saw that. And I might have laughed a lot.
So I have to check out that little mystery. It's very, very interesting.
Yep. I was like, he may not make the show tomorrow.
Well, one thing about sleeping on the couch is you can always make the show because you got plenty of time.
Don't even have to worry about waking anybody up.
Nope. Good to go.
No, I was more worried about you showing up on like an episode of Snapped.
Yeah, that's true. Unsolved mysteries, maybe also. That was a possibility. And that was the last time Herb was seen again.
Yeah, no, it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. And of course, anybody watching, if you haven't seen it, definitely go back and check it out because it is funny because you could see the look on your face, like, dude, why?
Well, he was trying to get revenge on something I didn't try to get him in trouble for. Last week, I asked him the top 5 things that he does on Saturdays when there's no college football, and he got himself in trouble by waiting until number 3 to mention his family, and then waiting until number 5.
I caught that too, actually.
Yes,
that actually makes more sense now. I didn't remember that, but yeah, I did catch that part of the show. So at least I show up to the show, at the prime moments.
Yes, right when we're getting in trouble. So.
Well, I guess speaking of getting in trouble, KC was a dumpster fire from the jump. That team did not look like they had any fire at all. And, I mean, they came out looking like they had already won the game. Yeah. Except Xavier Worthy. He actually came to play. Rookie, hungry, hadn't been there before. Everybody else was just like, yeah, I mean, I guess cool. It's a Sunday. I don't know.
I don't know. It was... I guess you just used to some, and you're not used to Casey looking great all game anyway. You're used to the defense keeping them in, and maybe the offense making plays. But it was like, it's still 10-0 when you throw the pick 6. You're thinking, you guys are right there. The defense is doing the best you can. Which, by the way, you gotta hate it for defenses. You're sitting on the bench, right? It's 10-0. You're still sitting on the bench at 17-0. You're like, I don't even know what to like. I don't know how to help you. At this point. But yeah, people make comparisons to when Patrick Mahomes was running around against Tampa Bay. But at least in that game, he was throwing passes that could have been completed. Everybody was just dropping them. In this game, it was just...
He did get hit in that one a lot, though, because if you remember, he lost both his tackles.
Right. No, what I'm saying is, in this game, there was no running around to make plays when you were getting hit a bunch. It was just... Yeah, the offense was just bad at that point. Versus at least in that game, he had some kind of magic. It's just everyone else let him down. Here, just you kept waiting for something to happen from KC.
And
Even
then they threw a pick six or fumbled.
yeah, it's like, okay, when I said I was waiting for something, that's not what I meant. But it was bizarre.
It was a weird game. And I mean, people were dropping passes. They were down a tackle. Not that necessarily means anything in this game. But they had a guard playing tackle.
Right.
Now he had been for a couple of weeks. So, I mean, he was able to sort of get acclimated to it. But, I mean, let's be honest, guard and tackle the fundamentals are wildly different. So, I mean, there was a little bit there. But, I mean, D-Hop dropping a pass that was in the middle of the field by himself. Kelsey couldn't catch anything.
Yep.
It was a very weird look. Now, I took Philly in this game, although I took it in a game, right? Like I was like 27-24, going to be a battle.
Exactly, yeah.
But instead, KC just didn't get off the bus.
Yes.
They're still down on Bourbon Street.
Yes. Having a good time, singing Taylor Swift songs.
For real.
It's one of those where, like, and you say it a lot of times, like the final score wasn't, like the game wasn't as close as what the final score said. They had to tack on some stuff just to get it. You get the feeling like, and it was a Tooney, whatever, moving over from guard to tackle.
Yeah.
The fact that they could get by like Buffalo with that made them think that they would be okay. But you were, like had he failed just totally against Buffalo, maybe they would have tried to figure something else out. But and I don't know, that's just like speculation, but it's like,
I don't think they
you're talking about
figure out though. Like I think that was the guy. And honestly, if he would have fallen apart in the Buffalo game, they'd have lost.
Yeah, true.
Because I mean, it was a close enough game that, if they had a tackle issue, it'd have been a wrap.
Yeah, it's just weird to me. Like there no backup plans, no. You had to know that it was going to be wildly different, the defensives between Buffalo and Philly. Like they're leagues apart, though. Even though you were told that this Philly defense wasn't as good as last time that they played.
That was the dumbest thing. I literally had to check out of that show at that moment. I was just like, "What are you talking about? You're talking about a decent defense last time to the number one defense. Like number one inherently means you're the best."
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm pretty sure that's what those number designations are for.
Yes. Exactly.
Hey, what's happening, Nick? Yeah, I mean, we were definitely all wrong. I mean, I guess at least I got the right team, but I mean, I think everybody expected this to be a close game, and it was disappointing in that way, but not disappointing in the watching KC fans lose their minds during the game. That was entertaining.
Yes. And after the game, I mean, you're getting all the, like, what's wrong with the team? Has Mahomes lost it? Like, what's wrong with Andy Reid? This is awful. I'm like, no one's feeling bad for you. You were going for a three-peat, and I don't know if I'm about to get sued for saying that. You were going for 3 in a row. So I don't, nobody's feeling bad for you. Okay. There's a lot, every other team in the league would love to be in your position. So but you guys are not handling losses very well at all. I mean, I guess you're not used to them, so I get that, but
it was hilarious because it's I was watching at Wild Wings, right? Because I was like, I want to be around some like electric atmosphere for this game, and I didn't do a party or anything this year because I was out of town the week before, right? So I didn't want to come back and then have to try and make that work. Right. So, but it was mostly just football fans in there. It wasn't a ton of Eagles or KC fans, but the KC fans that were in there, just meltdowns. You're just like, this is amazing. I mean, it was halftime, and they're, some of them were already leaving. It was just like, oh, okay, here we go. The one thing I find hilarious, though, that you're hearing from their fan base, which is crazy, and some of the media personnel, and of course, media is just doing it because, well, now there's nothing going on. They got to drag something out to talk about. But they're like, oh, yeah, should Andy Reid hang it up, and is Mahomes washed? And I'm like, they were in the Super Bowl. Like,
Right.
They went to 7 straight AFC championship games. They've been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. Like, what more do you want them to do? Like, they won 3 of them.
Yes.
Come on. So they're like, oh, yeah, does Andy retire because he's old? It's like, Pete Carroll just came back. He's 7.
Yeah. Belichick just came back into college too.
I mean, he's almost got a decade on him if I'm thinking right.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what are we even talking about right now? I think he's 3 years away from being the all-time wins leader. Like, why would he just randomly hang him up after that? Like, most of his team comes back.
Right. And you've got to, what your biggest problem is on the line. It's fixable. There's a thing called the draft coming up. There's also this thing called free agency coming up. Even if you didn't do that, you lost 2 real games this past year. All right, we're not counting the Denver debacle at the end of the year. You still have the best quarterback in the game. I don't understand. Like, we're just ready to punt on the whole thing. Like, how they're saying all this craziness now. If Reed and Mahomes walked away from the team right now, they'd have a real meltdown. So let's pump the brakes a little bit, guys. Okay?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a fire sale at that point. You're just getting rid of everything.
Yes. Sell the team. Like, there you go.
Who would win? I mean, probably not Pat Mahomes. It's and they do have some decisions to make, right? Like, whether or not they bring Juju back, although I think they should. He fits their system really well. I can't imagine they bring D-Hop back. That was a 1-year deal. I don't know.
Does Kelsey retire?
Yeah. Kelsey, he looked bad all season, right? He looked slow.
Yeah.
Now he was able to have moments where he was able to get into space and whatever, but I mean, I guess that'll come down to, is he willing to come back knowing he's not the same guy? Right. Like, you're going from the dominant force to what we saw this year is you're going to have to be a role player.
Yeah.
And I don't know, ego-wise, if he's going to be into that when you think of all of the off-the-field opportunities he has right now.
Right.
Do you want to, like, kind of slow burn out of the league, or do you want to be like, okay, you know what?
Go out on your terms.
Let's just go ahead and do it here. Either that, or he's going to have to do some real training this off season. Because, he looked a little fluffier this year also.
Fluffier? Is that what we're
we're going,
It's funny too, because listen to a Kansas City podcast. They're kind of down on him as well. And they were like, we just feel like a lot of the off the field distractions and stuff from this year, not distractions like he was distracting the team, but took away from his focus particularly. And he just wasn't the same.
Yeah, he
lost a step. Yeah. So they're definitely in on, hey, if he leaves, that's fine. So that's a legitimate conversation. Is Kelsey washed is a legitimate conversation, which I think is yes. Yep. So I think that's a great point.
That's exactly it. He's noticeably lost the step, right?
Right.
Which is fine. As a tight end, you can overcome that, right? Because your goal is always to find soft spots in the zone. So you're not necessarily required to create separation the way a slot or an outside receiver would, right? Because a lot of times you're getting dumped off between guys. So there's opportunities for tight ends, even if they can't break away, that you're being transferred from one linebacker to the next, unless it's man coverage. But I mean, when it's zone, like, there's soft spots in the zones that you don't have to be fast to find. Right. So, I mean, but that's why I say he would have to be like that role player guy, because they're going to need a tight end that can create some separation that he wasn't really able to do. I don't think he's washed. I think he's just getting older. And if he's going to continue to play, he's going to have to adapt his game, right? So he's going to have to do something different position, obviously, but he's going to have to do something that like Larry Fitzgerald did, where he was an outside receiver and he was okay at it. Like he was a decent outside receiver, but when he moved to the slot, that's where he became Larry Fitzgerald, right? So if you're Kelsey in this scenario, you obviously don't have a spot to like slide into, but now you have to start playing smarter because you're not the most athletic guy out there. Right. And, you know, so do I think he could finish out his contract, which is only one more year anyway? Sure. Do I think he probably wants to? Absolutely. Because he's so close to some of the records. So, I mean, would I want to hang out? I'm already under contract. We made it to the Super Bowl again anyway. Right. And, you know, you
got to be the favorite in the AFC to get back too, right? I would think.
Yeah. So there maybe. I mean, they're going to be one of the favorites for sure.
Right.
But having the meltdown they did, there's going to be a lot of doubters at the beginning of the season.
Right.
So
I guess in my mind, I'm thinking they always beat Buffalo and Baltimore always fails in the playoffs. And those are your two chief people in the AFC. So unless, you know, Cincinnati grows a whole defense in the offseason, that's where I think they start. Like you said, at least, you know, no worse than the third best AFC odds, I would think, to get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, they're a playoff team regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so no matter where where they fall in the seating, like they're a playoff team because there's no on that side in that conference. There's no like parity. You're either good or you're not.
Right.
Right. On the NFC side, like it didn't get decided until the last minute. Right. On the AFC side, it was just about locked in with like a couple weeks to go.
Yes.
I mean, you either had, 12 wins or more, or you had 4 wins.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. Speaking of which, I just received a text from someone. I won't mention who, but it says, so Miami isn't going to be a favorite in the AFC? Wow, Herb. Oh.
I mean, I feel like you should have put that in the comments.
That's what I was thinking. This is gold, but
I mean, we'll talk about that. Yeah, I mean, so they could be a wild card, mostly because the Bengals probably miss again. You got Burrow only being healthy every other year. He was healthy this last year.
Right.
So you're not gonna replace an entire defense this offseason. So I mean,
and you're still trying to keep your offense together. So like,
I mean, they lose Higgins, right?
Yeah.
Like Higgins is gone because
I'll never understand that. Still, by the way, we're not going to field a defense, but we're also not going to put all our money into keeping the offense together either. So hopefully we can win the Triple Crown in for receiver and have the best quarterback, statistically again next year, and we'll just ride that out for one more year. This is a terrible strategy, people. This is a terrible, terrible strategy.
Yeah, that's it's a bold strategy. Cotton. Yeah.
So, that I even hate to mention, but you drafted a wide receiver, and I don't think he's going to play anymore, right? So he's in house arrest or whatever you want to call it. So it's like you're not making any smart decisions. Plus, you start off every year by losing to teams you shouldn't lose to, and then you're behind the 8 ball. So I don't know. You're going to waste the careers of Burrow and Chase.
Yeah. Well, and then for the Miami side, you have similar questions. Does Tua stay healthy?
Yeah. Which is the only I'm
betting the under, right? Yeah. It's happened one time. I don't feel like this next year is probably the year, right? So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Miami will be that fringe team yet again.
Yeah. Well, the problem is they're just kind of stuck in this thing. You're tied to him, so long term you're kind of stuck, but you have a short term window, especially with Hill, now making nice with the team. But how many more years do you have him as your number one? And like I said, if Waddle has number one, I think, traits, but he's banged up all the time too. So you're kind of like in this, I don't know what moves you're going to make to get forward if you can't count on key pieces, and you're still not fully invested in they're just in that weird middle of the pack state right now, but paying a quarterback like you should be one of the tops.
For sure. Well, especially what they're spending on it. But I mean, and Hill may not still be there either, right? Like he has talked a few different times about wanting out. And so, I mean, maybe they entertain a trade, especially because he's also been hurt.
Right.
So, I mean, the thought here is he might go back to KC and he'll send us a coffee mug.
Raj, if Tua stays healthy all next season, I will buy you a Tua jersey. No, you already have a Tua jersey. Maybe I'll buy you a Waddle jersey.
Why do I feel like that mug would just break in the dishwasher?
It only holds coffee half the time. Like sit there. Oh man, not again.
It's terrible.
No. The other question, I didn't think that KC would be chasing a tight end. I thought line would be the first thing that they would be fixing.
It's got to be a tackle, right? Because I mean,
we saw what happened.
They're picking second to last, so it's not like any of the receivers and stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's laggy on my end.
Right. That's what I'm trying to pause. Like, all right, let him finish his thought.
Yeah, no, it's laggy over here. So like, there's times that you're like, I can't tell if you're just not moving or if you froze, and then I'm just like, I don't know what's happening. It's a Wednesday. Apparently, it's early for my computer too, so got that going for it. But so good enough on the Super Bowl. Everybody's pretty much beat it up at this point anyway, and there's really nothing to talk about. Like you said, the score was much closer than the game really was. There was garbage time points that, KC put up, but I mean, realistically, that should have been probably a touchdown less for KC.
Yeah. And Philly was a lot less aggressive towards the end as well. They were just like, we're content. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it could have been in the 50s to like 6.
Yeah.
So,
and congrats to Jalen Hurts, man. I was happy to see him do well and silence the haters for at least maybe one off season, maybe less though. We know how that goes.
No. It was immediate. They're like, it was because of the defense. Jalen Hurts didn't do anything special. And that was hilarious because it's just like, guys, did you forget he played well in the last one too? His defense let him down. Right. Yeah. He had the one turnover. Okay. That happens. But like he had a good game. He balled out in that game.
Yeah. Look, I told you I was listening to the KC
and
guys.
So this time around, now you're slighting him because he had a defense. Like, what are we doing?
Right. Like that's somehow his fault. Like he's supposed to, hey guys, I need you to tackle a little bit less so I can look a little bit better. Right? No, he did well. They sold out to stop the run, and he made them pay for it. And even the KC guys are like, let's be honest, he's outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the 2 Super Bowls they've had against each other. So,
absolutely.
Give him a little respect at this point.
So, should talk about, since this is the Wednesday wrap up and we missed a couple here, is our awards.
Oh yeah.
Dog, what are you doing? Stop. She is bored.
Yes.
But there we go. So MVP, this felt more like a legacy award than anything else, right? Not to say that he didn't have a great season. Obviously he did. Statistically, Lamar was better. Statistically, Burrow was better.
Right.
So
if Burrow makes the playoffs, we might be talking more about him. That's
if
no
Burrow
fault of
has
his
a
own.
10-win team, he wins.
Yeah.
Like there's no question about it.
Right.
So, but they weren't going to give it to Lamar again, right? Because that would be his third.
Yep,
I think
that would be his
and
third.
then it would have been
Yep.
back to back. So you
Yep.
knew unless he did something crazy, he wasn't going to win it again. And so this just felt like the Josh Allen Legacy Award. Not that I'm mad at it. Again, he had a good season, but if we're talking about numbers, he doesn't quite get there. If you're highlighting the valuable, right? Which they never do, but let's pretend they were here. Then sure, I can lean into a little bit more. Like 90% of the scoring had to go through Josh Allen. So I mean, I get that a little bit. Not to say they didn't have a good running back, but they didn't have Derrick Henry, right? Or Saquon. So I can kind of get with it that way, but mostly it just felt like we're not going to give it to Lamar, so let's give it to Josh.
And Tony Romo called that weeks ago when they were like, who do you think is going to win? He said, I think Josh Allen. He said, because he has 0 and Lamar has 2. Exactly. He said, if Josh had 2 and Lamar had 0, he said, I think Lamar would get it. He's like, voters are human. And I was like, I mean, he's right. That's what I think is going to happen also, Plus, it's kind of like when I always do the Jokic and the NBA comparison. When he won 2 in a row and he was about to win 3 in a row, but he hadn't been to the finals, they were like, we're voting anyone else but him. Because he had made the finals. I think you're going to say, because that's and then of course he went to the finals and won it after he didn't get it. But I think that honestly is just one of the things that kind of goes into the voting and into the thinking.
Yeah. Well, and of course, when you're talking about valuable, obviously the next guy here, Saquon, should have been in that conversation.
Definitely.
But you knew that wasn't going to be a thing. Basically. No. He didn't break the record, so that went against him. And the biggest thing is the tush push took like 7 to 10 touchdowns away from him. Right. And what we've seen is unless you put up 26 touchdowns as a running back, you have no shot at winning the MVP. Right. And so the fact that he ended up with, I think, 14, it was just never going to happen. So do I think he deserved actual consideration for it? Absolutely. Did I think there was any real shot at it with the touchdown numbers and not breaking the record? No. Right.
And that's what and being a running back, period. Because he's the offensive player of the year, but he's not better than the 2 quarterbacks who were in line for the MVP. So, okay.
Exactly. I mean, exactly that. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Right. So, but no. But I mean, he had a phenomenal year. And, he proved to be an unselfish guy. There were times he gave up on touchdowns just to say, I just want to win the game. He had a chance to put himself in the final game and said, no, I'm good. I just want to win the whole thing. So, I'm sure he would, either one of the MVP candidates or now 2 winners would trade. I'd rather have the Super Bowl ring than, this other hardware at this point. So. And hats off to him, man, escaping the Giants and getting into a Super Bowl the next year. So,
yeah, right. Crazy. Well, and it's funny that you bring that up because that was something I thought was funny that Cam Newton put out there. Now, I don't agree with Cam most of the time, right? But he said, he wouldn't give up his league MVP for a Super Bowl. And like, for me, I can't get with that. Like, no. It's that you play to win the game, right? Yes. Like I want to win it all, right? Like personal accolades, great, right? But like for me personally, I want to win rings, right? It's, obviously I lean into that probably more than most people. Like trophies and stuff I never kept. My championship ring, I keep that.
Yeah. I mean, and let's be honest, that's what defines you better. Like, I mean, Lamar has 2 MVPs and no Super Bowl appearances. And what is his legacy defined by now is, you can't win in the playoffs, Exactly. I'm sure, I guarantee you Josh Allen would trade out this MVP, let Lamar win it if he had a chance to be in the Super Bowl this year, because you saw the frustration when he was sitting in the locker room doing those interviews after this last loss to KC. No, he's giving that back in a heartbeat for a chance to be on the biggest stage, And Jalen Hurts nowhere near the MVP conversation. Wins the Super Bowl MVP. You think he's upset right now? No,
not at all.
He is living his best life. So no, I don't. And then Cam, guess what, Cam? Your biggest thing that we will remember is you not diving on a fumble in the Super Bowl. So
that is where the show he was on, I felt like, I mean, obviously they were never going to do it, but they should have. Like, had I been there, I would have been like, you realize, Cam, you could have had both, right? Like, you dive on that ball, you guys have a legit shot of winning that Super Bowl. You could have had an MVP and a Super Bowl MVP.
Yes.
And a ring, but instead you play hot potato and like, I don't want it. And you're just like, man, I mean, you can, well, I guess that actually proved that he would rather have the personal accolade than win it all.
Agreed.
Because why wouldn't you dive on that ball?
Right.
I mean, say you get hurt. Okay.
It's a Super Bowl.
There's no more games this season.
Right.
Like, you get a whole off season to heal up. So maybe you get banged up, but you literally have an off season to get right.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's, I mean, perfect. Like Raj said, his comments are just him being selfish, and okay, if that's what you want to do is live off that one MVP, that's fine. But nah, I would trade it for the Super Bowl any day. I don't get it. The chance to be on the biggest stage and win, yeah, no, I don't follow that at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things that also follows Cam, you know, obviously not diving on that fumble in the Super Bowl. You know, that's the biggest one. The other one that follows him around is he never had winning seasons back to back.
Yeah.
He'd have like a good year and then be average, right? And then have a good season and then be okay. And it was just a very weird career arc. Because, you know, he'd bust out that 15-win season, and then I think they won like 9 the next year.
Yeah.
It's just like, man.
Well, it's probably all his teammates' fault, though, if you're kind of listening to the rest of his other comments. So, you know, Cam don't seem like there's a whole lot of accountability either.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, he hides all that accountability in them hat.
Yeah, with that excellent fashion sense he's got going
on. So defensive player of the year, it was a little bit of a surprise to me. I don't mind it. I thought it was going to end up going to a pass rusher.
Right. That's what I thought.
But I mean, he did have a great season, so I'm not mad at it.
Right.
But I was surprised on that one. The first two I had pegged. This one I did not. I was way off.
Yeah. Well, and because usually for better corners, the stats aren't usually there. So it's kind of more those advanced metrics and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like the flashy pick. So, I mean, you know, he's a Bama guy. So, of course, I was excited for him. But, yeah, I didn't see that one coming at all either. I always think, you know, it's like defensive player is usually a pass rusher's award, just like MVP is usually a quarterback's award. So, you know, happy for him and happy that they're thinking outside the box and recognizing his great play. But, yeah, didn't see that one coming.
Yep. The Walter Payton Man of the Year, I never even try and guess this because every single one of those guys are deserving of it.
Right.
You know, if you get nominated by your team, like you deserve to be there. So, you know, congrats to him. And excuse me. But yeah, I never even try and guess that one because I mean, every one of those guys could be there.
Yeah.
I do like the Coach of the Year, Kevin O'Connell. There were a couple of guys I thought had a shot at it. You know, Dan Quinn, obviously. Right. But this one made a lot of sense because when you go into the season, everybody was like, oh, yeah, the Vikings are a 4-win team.
Right.
Right. Instead, they're a 14-win team.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how much more you could have asked him to do except maybe win, you know, in the playoffs. But
right. But you did Sam Darnold and won those games. And your only unfortunate thing to not winning your division is Detroit happened to be in the same division as you know. But no, fully deserving. I think the other people you mentioned, like he would have had a good shot at, like Quinn, you said would have had a good shot at it too. So I would have been fine with the voting of any of those people. You feel like if it had extended into the playoffs and it wasn't just a regular season, then Quinn gets it. But as far as the regular season goes, yeah, O'Connell was definitely deserving.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Offensive Rookie of the Year. This one was the worst kept secret ever.
Right.
There was only a couple of weeks that Bo Nix looked like he might have a minute to
a chance at it. Yep. There were people making a push.
I mean,
I think Daniels had one bad week.
You know, he just kind of walked away with it again.
Yeah.
Oh, no, again, just laggy on my end. So, so Daniels had a couple of down weeks. They weren't even necessarily bad, but they were down, and Bo Nix showed out those same weeks. So he was making a case for himself, and then those weeks passed.
Yeah.
And
people remembered how good Daniels was.
Exactly. And Bo Nix wasn't bad, but he wasn't as good as he was in those couple of games. So, so yeah, that one was pretty easy. Jared Verse, I did actually think that one was going to be the case, and only because I got to watch them a couple of times against the Seahawks, and you know, that linebacker. There were times that he was it, like he was their guy, and you know, that's a tall order for a rookie. So you know, I think it was still like 5 weeks to go, and I was like, man, I think Jared Verse actually has a real shot at, you know, defensive rookie, and so cool for him. You know, bummer it's in our division. But
right. It's going to be a problem for years. Yeah. And I know it doesn't count, but my best look at him was against the Philly game. And he took all the heat and talked all the trash and still backed it up. So, you know, he was definitely legit, real deal. So,
no. He's going to be good for years.
Yep.
So if they could, you know, trade him or something would be rad.
Every game you're going to be on, hey man, your contract sucks. It's like, it does suck. I need to talk to the team about this.
Right. And of course, Burrow, comeback player of the year for the second time, because he only plays every other season. And this one was a no-brainer, right? I mean, he's actually coming back from an injury, right? Which is something that the last two didn't. And they changed the rules. So in theory, anybody that's just coming back from being bad can't win it anymore. You have to actually be coming back from something. And so Burrow coming back from injury, winning it a second time, made a ton of sense. Again, he should have been in the MVP conversation. So if you can't win the MVP, you certainly better win comeback player of the year.
Right.
So
it's kind of like your consolation prize. And
yeah, I mean, I actually thought he had a real shot at offensive player of the year.
Yeah, true.
Because I mean, you've seen quarterbacks win that a ton of times.
Yeah.
So being as he had the best stats in the league, you would have thought that he would have got something better than, you know, a star on his chart.
Yeah.
But here we are.
You're thinking about the guy that had to prop up, like, hey, we just scored 35. The defense is like, yeah, we're going to need 40. Sorry, guys. Just not good enough. Like, what? Yeah, sorry. Averaging 30 points a game is just not getting it done, Joe. Sorry, buddy. No MVP, no offensive player of the year for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy the defense was that bad.
Yes.
Exactly.
I think they held down New England in week 1 and then called it a wrap for the season.
I mean, you held down New England with no players. I would hope so.
Yeah. And Jacoby Brissett in that game, and that was it. And still somehow lost it. So offense took a minute to get going. Defense said, all right, that was the best we're ever going to be. And then, the whole rest of the season was a train wreck. Yeah,
they were just like, you know what? Cool, we did it.
So did they all walk out after that game? Like, I don't, or they just said, yeah, we're just going to take advantage of one of the worst offenses in the league. Make you guys think the season's going to be different.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really what it was, is they just took advantage of a terrible offense. I mean, the Pats had a decent defense, actually. But yeah, their offense was, especially early in the year, was terrible.
Yes, it was very terrible.
Yeah, so they took advantage of that, and then they just mailed it in from there. They're just like, well, that was fun. Cool, Cabo, right? All right, let's go.
Let's go. Was there something else we were supposed to be doing? No, we're good. Don't worry about it.
This is fine. Yeah. No, it's weird that the season is over. It seemed like the season went fast.
It did.
It took forever to get here, and then it was just gone.
Yeah.
So it's so now you gotta, I guess, look at basketball and hockey and all of that. I mean, I don't know. I'm already kind of looking towards the spring leagues. I'm like, okay, let's see what Arena and the UFL. Let's see what we got going here. We're still, a month out from any of that, though.
Right.
But I'm hoping the UFL takes a step forward. Like, I hope the quality of play starts to come along now that you have a second season of, this configuration of the teams.
Right.
Hopefully there's some strides moving forward. And then similarly, when it comes to Arena, I hope this second year of it kind of also does something similar where you start to see a decent product. I guess dropped passes make me mad. It's really the main takeaway for me. Like, if it hits you in the hands,
you got to
catch the damn ball.
Yep. Especially if you're one of these leagues, and look, you're not making it. I get it, but it's always supposed to be like a mini audition as well as to helping your team win there. Like you're always thinking of better, but you can't drop passes in these leagues and ever think that it's you're getting another shot anywhere else. And I think as far as the watchability, I just don't know how many games I watched on TV. So like for me, the appeal was we have a team in Birmingham. I could go to a couple games. But like to your point, it's got to get better to where they're, when I'm at home, I don't think I watched a single game except for the championship, from home. So yeah, the watchability and excitement definitely has to improve, especially when they made it as regional as they did. If you're going to grab the rest of the people.
Uh-oh. Hey, there I am. All right. Man, it's going to be a long day.
Hopefully you've got nothing else to do today.
Yeah, only a bunch of shows because it's Wednesday. So that, like, I'm going to need something different in this cup. Like, it's going to have to switch over to some Bailey's coffee or something. But yeah, no, I mean, you're right. The watchability wasn't great. They also made it hard to find the product.
Yeah, true.
So I think that was the biggest thing is it wasn't necessarily played always on the same day. It was rarely on the same channel. So you had to kind of search for it. The games that I did see on TV, I had to use the voice feature. I'm like, UFL, like, and then it would be whatever channel it happened to be on that day. And it was just like, man, you guys need to figure out how to either advertise better or make it not on every channel. There's not enough teams to have the TV contracts so spread out.
Right.
I feel like they advertise similar to the WNBA. Like if you're already watching it, they're like WNBA commercial. It's like, yeah, I found it. Thanks. How about the days that I don't know when it is?
Right. And they need to find a little mark. I mean, we know how it is. You follow stars, like start marketing some of this stuff and getting us out there and make us care a little bit about it. So
I think this is actually me, Raj.
He's never going to pass up a chance to play B, though, right?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's why we're brothers, man. That's why I love them.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's I don't know. I do hope that they get this together because, man, it's
Well, you have an opportunity here. We're getting more and more invested in football every year. You have a chance to fill a void here. This is the perfect opportunity. You've got all eyes on you for football fans. So yeah, find out what's missing, find out how to market to those and go get it. Like I said, start making us care about a couple people in there, man. Start getting more stories out there.
Yep.
because we'll follow players a lot of times these days before we follow teams. So yeah,
For sure.
just make it scary.
I guess the hard part there is, a lot of these leagues, I'm not sure if it's true with the UFL, but they only have like 1 or 2 year contracts anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure because they don't know if the league's going to be around more than 1 or 2 years half the time. So,
well, not just that, but they have clauses where they can get called up to the NFL and
yeah, true.
They get bought out and all that. So, I mean, but because they're short, there's a potential to like bounce around from teams. And so, I mean, it does make it a little bit harder. It's kind of how college basketball has become harder to follow on the men's side, right? Because there's so much of the one and done and transfer portal action and everything. So now when you're watching, it's the women's side that you're actually getting stories that you follow, right?
This is true.
And so unfortunately, leagues like the UFL and the AF1 now, I guess they call it, a lot of those contracts are like 1, maybe 2 years. So it's hard to like follow a guy.
True.
Because it's like, oh yeah, he's over here today, and now he's over there, and you're just like, I mean, okay.
yeah. No, that's exactly right, and that's why they watch Caitlin Clark get built up.
I'm not buying 10 jerseys. Like, I'm just not doing it.
No. I told you one of my friends. She said I'll buy jerseys and I put my name on the back of them. So that's what you do for a lot of the sports these days. But yeah. That's why the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese thing got built up for years. And that's why people followed it and it got such, the huge following that it did.
Exactly. Yeah. But when you look at the men's side, who's even there?
Yeah.
You don't know because they're there for a cup of coffee and that's it.
Yep. Well, and then when they're there for longer, then you just pick apart their game the whole time. Like Zach Edey, like, oh, he hasn't gone to the league yet. He's been
exactly. Why is he still there?
Yeah. You're like, so which way do you want it? Both.
Exactly.
I want him to be a superstar and amazing, but also stay 4 years. Oh, okay. Sounds like a terrible stretch.
It's getting back towards that because of NIL.
Right.
It's starting to make financial sense to stay in school another year or two.
Exactly.
So, because those rookie contracts aren't amazing.
Right.
So, all of a sudden, dog, killing me here. She's like, can we go do something else? You are bored.
You're like, you see, I'm doing something, right? No, I do not see that.
Man.
That does not compute.
So on the basketball front, we're a month away from, or not even a full month away from the start of March Madness, but the NBA is underway and
going crazy.
I mean, some of the trades are interesting. The AD Luka trade was, I think, hilarious.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Mavs forgot that AD gets hurt all the time.
Yes.
And so you get
rid of a
guy that is in his prime, one of the best in the league, and got you to the finals. Yeah, you're a scrub. Get out of here. Yes. What are we? And for AD, a guy that's a couple years away from probably being done, has been hurt largely most of his career, and has shown you he's never been that alpha dog. Right? He's never been that guy. He has all the tools to be, but like mentally, he's just never been that dude. So you're gonna pair him with Kyrie, who also isn't that dude. That just sounds like it's going to be great for shows like this. Bad if you're a Mavs fan, though.
Yeah. They're going crazy.
AD's already hurt.
Yeah.
He played.
I felt bad for him too, man, because he's taken a lot of flack in the trade already. But you showed a glimpse of you being a top 10 player, how great he was playing in that game.
Sure.
And then you showed the other part where you're hurt now and you're out for weeks. So
yeah,
that was
an injury. He could potentially miss the rest of the season.
Yeah. So, and then the bigger problem I had
to just
to linger on. Yeah.
He And so by not that dude, I'm not saying he's not a fantastic player. Obviously, he is that guy. What I'm saying is he's not that leader.
No, he's not.
Like he's not, which is fine if you have one on the team.
Yes.
But
Kyrie, go look at all his situations. Kyrie does better when he is the second guy. And he has somebody else that can take up all the, and he can just go out and play. Kyrie and Kevin Durant are two guys who just want to hoop. Like, look, we are one of the most talented people in our positions.
Yep.
We don't want you to ask us questions. We don't want to have to hype up everybody else. We just want to go play. They are better in those positions.
Yeah.
Kyrie was asked to be a leader in Boston, and the whole thing flamed out.
No, exactly.
He admitted it too. He said, "Yeah, I wasn't ready for that." So
well, and we've already watched this movie before. I believe they called them the Nets.
Yes.
No one could stay healthy. No one wanted to be the guy.
Yes, exactly.
So now you're going to pair two more together that don't want to be the guy, right? Because AD and Kyrie and Kevin Durant, they all have those similar traits of insane athletic ability. Not that dude.
Yeah. Which is fine. That's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? Because they're all insanely talented. But you have to know that when you're putting it together. My bigger problem with the Luka trade was you traded a guy who was top 5 and you didn't shop him. You made a decision to trade him for one player and you negotiated that for weeks. You didn't get any other. You got one other, first round and Max Christie thrown in. And that was it for a top 5. Like, I can't imagine Baltimore trading Lamar Jackson and getting back, like a wide receiver, and that's it, or trading Josh Allen and getting back, a tight end, and that's it. Like, that would just never happen. If you decide, and they had their reasons, they're like, oh, he's out of shape. Oh, we don't like the antics. It sounded more personal than anything else. But you have a duty to your franchise to get everything you can. But Rudy Gobert brought back more when he got traded. Kevin Durant brought back more. James Harden brought back more. You're going to tell me, like, Luka's not worth more than AD, who you lost, 6 years in the trade, 7 years in the trade? Yeah. Bigger injury. Like, none of this makes sense to me.
Well, especially when you think of, you just traded away a guy that's in his prime, was just in the finals, is like a 5-time All-NBA.
Yeah.
For a broken AD?
Yes.
Like, what are we even doing?
And you started the trade.
Exactly.
You initiated the trade.
Yeah. And all things being equal, right? Like, you have a deal that, I guess was being done behind closed doors for weeks. But anytime a deal gets closed in the middle of the night, it's probably not a great deal, right?
Yeah.
Like there's always some sketchiness that went down. They're like, oh, this trade went through at midnight. It's like, yeah, that feels odd.
Yes. Yes. Well, here's your first scene. Okay. If you ever offer out a trade for anything, anywhere, and the person goes, what? For real? You've messed up. Okay. So and by the way, I would never let that story get out, but that's what the GM said. He was like, he presented it to Rob Pelinka of the Lakers. And
he thought it was a joke.
What? No, like, really? Yeah, get out of that trade immediately. Like, okay, you've messed up. You've already gone too far. But to zero in on AD as your guy, and I know people who like AD and like the Lakers, and they're like, yeah, AD, I wouldn't have. That doesn't make sense because you set the Lakers up for the future. You have not set yourselves up for the future. You don't think AD is going to be here for the next 5-6 years? Like, there's just no way.
No, all you did was set yourself up to get fired. Because this ultimately doesn't work. Yes. We've seen this kind of connection before. So, I mean, like, it doesn't work. AD's already hurt. So, I mean, like, it's as bad as it could possibly go. And yeah, on the Lakers side, it made a ton of sense because now you have your guy of the future because LeBron's done in a couple of years at best. And, you had to start figuring out where it is you were going from there. So, yeah, no, it was a weird trade. When I saw it pop across my phone, I'm like, what?
I posted. I said, yeah, no, somebody got hacked. I was posting that. And people had to be like, no, man, it's real. I was like, no, it's not. There's 0% chance this is a real trade.
Every time I saw it, I was like, okay, this is like a spoof insider or
Yes.
like it's a meme account. Like, what are we doing? And every time it was like ESPN. I'm like, no, that one's kind of credible. Fox Sports. Wow. Okay. Maybe something's real here. Uh-oh.
Shams had to post, no, guys, this is real. That's how bad this trade was. When the guy who breaks the story has to tell you guys, like, I'm not playing. Like, this is an actual trade. And then, like you said, it broke at like midnight on a Saturday,
Yeah.
I think Raj woke up to the trade the next day. He was like, what? So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you still had enough stuff to trade for, the center that you needed. Like, that doesn't make sense. Your trade cupboard should be bare. Like, all your assets should be gone if you're going to get a guy like Luka. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, they just gift wrapped him, sent him over. And you're just like, I don't understand what's happening. Like, the Mavs are trying to lose.
Yes.
Cuban is so mad he sold that team.
Oh, my God. Cuban was mad. They said he tried to persuade him. Dirk Nowitzki, like, skipping Dallas games now. He's out in L.A. watching Luka. People are protesting. Like Rod says, they're giving refunds for your season tickets. Like, you bet big on this. You basically need a championship, and you need Luka to not be that guy in the Lakers, and both of those are turning out to be wrong already.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is we've seen LeBron be able to play off the ball. So right. Luka's going to get a beat Luka. It's not like he went somewhere where it's two guys that have to be ball dominant, right? Like, he's going there, but LeBron has already shifted his game in the way of being able to be off the ball.
Right.
So this should work fine.
Right.
So many of the analysts are like, oh, this is never going to work. They both need the ball. It's like, do you guys watch basketball at all? I mean, LeBron understands he's old.
Yeah.
He's not playing 40 minutes a game. He's playing like 32 minutes a game. He understands that he has to be able to make plays off the ball. Now, that being said, this team isn't going to have great defense, right? Because it's not like either one of those guys play defense anymore. But so, I mean, the defense takes a step back, but you also have a guy that's in place of AD that gets hurt a lot. So as much as I like AD's skill set, in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, which game does he get hurt?
Yeah.
How much of the season we missing?
Yeah. And like, you had to, it's almost like, sorry, Raj, you might not want to listen to this part. It's kind of like the Tua thing.
Yeah.
Last year was his healthiest year. I think he played 70 something games out of the 82. I feel like he missed 6. So this year has just kind of been the opposite. And then this one with Dallas, it's unfortunate for him, but it's part of the makeup at this point, man. I'm sorry, So
well, it's not like you didn't see this coming.
Right.
It'd be one thing. It was just like, oh, he's been healthy his whole career. And then, he got hurt. Like, man, that's a bummer. But this is like, he's hurt almost every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and then all of a sudden he comes to your team. He's like, he's hurt. And like, oh no.
Didn't see that coming. Yes. And then, but let's also be honest, even a healthy AD, you don't trade a 25-year-old superstar for a 32. You don't do that either. You've shortened your own window. So no, I don't get that part either. None of it makes sense. Nobody trades a top 5 guy who's 25 and in his prime for anybody in their 30s. That doesn't make sense.
Yep. Absolutely.
And you started the trade. I'll never get over that. They started the trade. Hey, we're ready to get rid of Luka. How about AD? What?
Yeah. That immediately in my mind is the Westbrook, what? How's it going, you? All right. Well, that gets us to the top of the hour. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Herb and Raj podcast Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Central. See what trouble Rhea and Raj can get into with our wives every week. And you can also catch me at Bama Standard Thursday night, 7:30. Mr. U's show, he's just popped in there, 6 o'clock on Thursdays as well. All these times are Central. And Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central on Talking Bama. So
right on. If you
are
watching
to take over the world,
be sure to like and subscribe. If you're watching on Roku TV, stay tuned for the next hour. And of course, the one announcement is we have Real Talk Radio coming next month. So going to be broadcast there in Atlanta and nationally syndicated on iHeartRadio.
Very nice.
See y'all next week.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports Podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast Podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports.